What happens when the taxman gets it horribly wrong? Businessman Jay Jang got all the right approvals for his new business, but the Australian Tax Office later decided he was breaking the law. He was arrested, thrown in jail, and even lost his sister, thanks to the ATO's ruthless campaign.
ATO doesn't care about human costs. They feel it's just a number. Before the determination of my federal court case, tax office throws me in jail for something that I have absolutely no idea about.
You know, there are some things in this country you just expect to be right as rain, like the sun coming up or a magpie having a go at you in spring. The Australian Tax Office, the ATO, is meant to be one of them. They're the big kahunas, the ones who collect the cash to keep the country ticking over. You'd think they'd have their act together, that their sums would always be spot on. But what happens when they don't? What happens when the very mob responsible for making sure our tax system is fair and square gets it completely, utterly wrong? It's not just a bit of a headache, mate. It can be a full-blown financial nightmare, a bureaucratic black hole that sucks in ordinary Aussies, leaving them stressed out, in debt, and wondering what the bloody hell just happened. We're not talking about a simple typo here. We're talking about massive stuff-ups, dodgy advice, and a system that sometimes seems to treat individuals with all the care of a bull in a china shop. And the stories from those who've been on the receiving end of the ATO's blunders will make your blood boil. It's a stark reminder that even the most powerful outfits can make mistakes, and when they do, it's the little guy who pays the price. Before we expose the shocking truth about the Australian Tax Office getting it wrong and the devastating impact it has on ordinary Aussies, join our Patreon. We're the resistance exposing the bureaucratic blunders and the systemic failures that mainstream media often glosses over. Link in the description. One of the most infamous stuff-ups from the ATO was the Robotax disaster, officially known as the Centrelink Debt Recovery Scheme. While it was mainly a Centrelink show, the ATO was right in the thick of it, helping to collect the so-called debts. And what a dog's breakfast it was, mate. The whole thing relied on a computer program that matched up what you told Centrelink with what you told the ATO. Sounds clever, eh? The problem was, if the numbers didn't match up perfectly, the computer just assumed you owed money. It didn't think about people who work odd jobs or have a few different gigs, or the fact that your yearly income doesn't always line up neatly with your fortnightly Centrelink payments.
What's going to happen? Because you're in the lap of the ATO.
This computer-driven approach meant hundreds of thousands of Aussies got hit with fake debts, some for thousands of dollars. People who'd done nothing wrong were suddenly being chased by the ATO, with debt collectors breathing down their necks and their bank accounts and tax refunds being raided. You were basically guilty until proven innocent, and trying to prove your innocence to a computer that doesn't have a heart is a bloody nightmare. Later on, it came out that the ATO's own systems had more bugs than a Queensland summer, causing even more fake debts. The human touch, the common sense, was completely gone, replaced by a dodgy computer program that wrecked people's lives. It caused massive financial stress, mental health problems, and in some tragic cases was even linked to people taking their own lives. The Robotax scandal was a massive wake-up call about the dangers of letting computers run the show without proper human checks, and a fair way to appeal. It showed how a system meant to catch cheats ended up punishing innocent Aussies, all because the ATO and Centrelink got it fundamentally wrong. And once you lose that trust, it's bloody hard to get it back. It's bad enough when the ATO's computers are on the fritz, but what happens when the advice they give you, the very info you rely on to do the right thing, is a load of old cobblers? This is another area where the ATO has dropped the ball, leaving ordinary Aussies in a right pickle.
And I hate the ATO for what they've done, and leaving me like this.
Take the ATO community online forum, for instance. It's meant to be a place where you can get your tax questions answered, but it's been slammed for giving out advice that's plainly wrong on basic tax stuff, like capital gains tax. Imagine trusting official ATO advice, making big financial decisions based on it, only to find out later it was completely wrong, and you're up for a massive tax bill. You'd be spewing. And it's not just online. People have gotten dud advice directly from ATO staff over the phone or in writing. While the ATO has a way to fix their mistakes and a safe harbour if you've acted in good faith, trying to sort it all out can be a massive headache, especially if you're not a tax whiz. The problem is, tax law is about as complicated as a politician's promise, and even the ATO's own people can get it wrong sometimes. But for the average Joe, the ATO is the final word. When they give you advice, you trust it. When that trust is broken, it can lead to some serious financial pain, from surprise tax bills to penalties and interest charges that make your eyes water. It just goes to show. We need clear, consistent and correct advice from the tax office. If the ATO can't even get its own advice right, how are we supposed to navigate the maze of the tax system without being terrified of making an honest mistake that could cost us a fortune? It's a bit of a joke, really. Beyond the dodgy systems and the bad advice, the ATO has also copped a fair bit of flack for how they do their audits. Some reckon they're a bit too aggressive, chasing after small businesses and individuals with claims that are a bit sus. Getting that dreaded letter from the tax office is enough to make anyone's heart sink faster than a lead balloon. There are countless stories of small businesses getting dragged through long, expensive audits, sometimes based on dodgy data or just plain assumptions. The ATO's got a lot of power, mate, and when they come knocking, it can be bloody intimidating. Businesses often have to fork out thousands of dollars for accountants and lawyers just to defend themselves, even if they haven't done a thing wrong.
They went through everything. They went through personal stuff. They went through my underwear drawer, my bra drawer, any drawer.
Critics argue that the ATO sometimes goes in too hard, pushing for every last cent without really looking at the individual situation or if it was just an honest mistake. This can lead to situations where businesses are forced into payment plans they can't afford or even go bust. All because of an ATO audit that, looking back, might have been a bit of a dog's breakfast itself. And then there's the issue of fake debts and them freezing your bank accounts, even outside the Robotax stuff. Some people and businesses have reported getting debt notices they argue are wrong, only to find their bank accounts locked up or their wages docked without a fair go. While the ATO has the power to collect what's owed, the way they sometimes use that power has raised serious questions about fairness and transparency. Now, don't get us wrong. We're not saying all ATO audits are crook or that people shouldn't pay their fair share. Not at all. But it does highlight the massive power imbalance between the tax office and the average bloke or Sheila. When the ATO gets it wrong in an audit, it can be absolutely devastating, and trying to fight them can be a long, painful, and financially draining battle. It's enough to make you want to throw your hands up in the air. So what's the go when the Australian Tax Office, the mob who's meant to be on the level and accurate, gets it wrong? It's a call for them to pull their heads in, be more open and change how they deal with ordinary Aussies. It's about rebuilding the trust that's been absolutely hammered. First off, we need a proper, independent watchdog keeping an eye on the ATO. When they make a monumental stuff up, especially big ones like Robotax, there needs to be a clear way for an independent body to step in, sort it out, make sure those who've been stitched up get a fair go and that the ATO is held to account for their blunders. Secondly, we need more common sense and human oversight in their computer systems. While technology is great for making things quicker, it should never replace a bit of human judgment, especially when it's about people's livelihoods. Computers should be tools, not the boss, especially when it comes to your hard-earned cash. Thirdly, the ATO needs to get its act together with its advice. That means better training for their staff, making sure everyone's singing from the same hymn sheet, and making tax info genuinely easy for the average Aussie to understand. If they want us to play by the rules, they need to make the rules clear, not a riddle wrapped in an enigma. Finally, they need to be a bit more fair and compassionate when they're chasing debts or doing audits. While the ATO's got a job to do, it shouldn't be at the expense of people's financial well-being or their mental health. A bit of a chat and a willingness to work things out instead of coming in like a bull at a gate would go a long way to getting that trust back. This isn't just about fixing a few mistakes, it's about getting our faith back in a really important institution. When the Australian Tax Office gets it wrong, it affects every single one of us. And until they sort out these big issues, the shadow of their stuff-ups will keep hanging over countless Aussies like a bad smell at a BBQ. The mainstream media won't tell you the full truth about how often the Australian Tax Office gets it wrong or the devastating impact their errors have on ordinary Aussies. They won't expose the robo-tax debacles, the misleading advice, or the aggressive audit tactics that leave people financially ruined. Join our Patreon for uncensored investigations into the bureaucratic blunders and the systemic failures that threaten our financial freedom. This isn't just about tax, it's about justice. It's about whether a powerful government institution can operate with impunity or whether it will be held accountable to the people it serves. The choice is ours, but we need to be informed and we need to be vigilant. To see the latest Australian crisis, click this video here.